Hello friends, welcome back to another video of the Positional Chess Club, and today we are going to analyze a game between the Anatoly Karpov and Viktor Korchnoi from the Karpov-Korchnoi candidates final match of the 1974. So without further waiting, let's get on to the game. Karpov is white and opens with e4. Korchnoi goes for the Sicilian defense c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, g6, bishop to e3, bishop to g7. So we are entering into the Sicilian defense dragon variation. f3, which is a typical move in these positions to stop knight g4 and tamper with this bishop here on placed nicely on e3, right? Knight to c6, queen to d2, black castles, bishop to c4, bishop to d7 and h4. The plan for white here is very clear. White wants to go for a kingside attack, and white will also castle on the queen side, as we'll see further in the game. Rook to c8, bishop to b3, getting the bishop out of the rook's line. Knight to e5, now white castles queen side. Knight to c4, forking the queen and the dark square bishop. So now white has to compulsorily take the knight with the light square bishop. Bishop takes c4, rook takes c4, and now after the 14th move itself, it is a critical, after the 13th move itself, sorry, it is a critical position, and we want to find out a plan for white, right? We already discussed that what white wants to do is to go for a kingside attack, but how exactly should it go for a kingside attack? Well, Bobby Fischer once famously quoted in his book, The 60 Memorable Games, that in a Sicilian defense dragon variation, you just have to pry open the h-file and then sack and mate. Well, same is the idea here, but just a little bit differently. We pry open the h-file. So I hope you have already got the move that we were waiting for now. So the move is h5. It is a brilliant positional pawn sacrifice. We will see how this does not lead to an immediate advantage in the initiative, but this gives a lot of positional advantage for the white's queen, and the how it helps white to develop a kingside attack with his queen and the rook. So with the move h5, we are forcing him to capture with the knight. So knight takes h5, and now g4, and now knight back to f6. So we can already see that now the rook is eyeing the h-file, and the queen and the bishop are ready to come into h6. So we'll see how it goes. Knight d to e2. So knight d to e2 is a very important and a good prophylactic move, because this rook and this bishop on g7 were both eyeing this square on d4. It is of very much importance to get this knight out of harm's way. So knight d to e2, getting a little bit solid, and now queen to e5, and now finally bishop to h6. Bishop takes h6, queen takes h6. So now, as we can see, the queen has already infiltrated the position, black's kingside position, with the move queen to h6, and now we will try to create some kind of an attack using these knights and this one rook that we have. So rook f to c8, and now rook to d3. So now again, this is a critical position for black to do, and in this position black could not have afforded to make a blunder, and this is exactly what Korchnoi does in the next move. Korchnoi makes a very terrible blunder that costs him the game. So the blunder made by Korchnoi is rook 4 to c5, and the idea behind this blunder is also actually really important to understand. Like it's such a technical blunder. It's not a very easy blunder where we hang up one of our pieces, but it's a blunder where we have to really understand the idea. So let's go back one move, and let's try to understand why this was a blunder by going with the best move in this position. So the best move in this position was bishop to e6. So now after bishop to e6, the idea is that if we play g5 now, then you can play knight to h5, and if I play knight to f4, trying to attack this bishop and get into this h-file, then you have this really beautiful move queen to e5, getting into, and now if I take here on h5, then after g takes h5 and rook takes h5, you can get in time to the g7 square in the exact proper time, and then you can you are free from any kind of attack now. For you, you can go for something like rook to d2 and then try to create some kind of an attack. but black has totally neutralized white's attack, and here the position is just completely equal. So this was the best move that black could have done, bishop to e6. But after the move made by Korchnoi, that is rook 4 to c5, the idea is that now if I play g5, if let's say the black knight goes to h5, then I have again the knight to f4, and then what do you play here? You are threatening to take this knight here and then come in with the rook and the queen. So there are very less moves here to do. The only move that you can play here is rook takes c3, giving up the exchange, and now after b takes c3, come into this e5, and then as we said earlier, after knight takes h5, g takes h5 and rook takes h5, you can come into this g7 square, but you will still be down an exchange without any compensation, because after queen takes g7 check, king takes g7, white will have two rooks, whereas black will have a rook and a bishop. So this is the simple idea here. And if you don't take after on g5, which was what played in the game, and as Korchnoi did in the game, the Korchnoi played rook takes g5, then you have this again, this really great move by Karpov, that is rook to d5, disconnecting the queen and the rook, because now if you take with the knight, then obviously it's mate in two, and if you take with the rook, then you take here back with the knight, and then again you are disconnecting the queen from the square e5. You are creating this disconnection between the queen and the square e5. So now what can black do? Black plays rook to e8, and now knight f to e4, getting in with the other knight, because now if you immediately take, then this is an equal position, because after e takes f6, white has no attack, because I can take here on h7, fine, but after queen f8 and queen h8 check and king e7, you don't have any kind of attack. So don't take, but further improve your knight's position. Knight f to e4, played exactly by Karpov, and now bishop to c6, and now the crushing move by Karpov, that is e5. The idea behind this move, well, if you take on d5, which is what happened in the game, then I take on e takes f6, and after e takes f6, queen takes h7 check, king f8 and queen h8 check, you have nothing more to do, because if you go to here, king e7, then after knight takes d5 check, queen takes d5 and rook to e1 check, and king to d7, queen takes e8 check, you are up with a rook. White will be up a whole rook. So this is what makes this game really great. I think what's the most important part that I liked from this game was that even after playing this move h5, white is not in a hurry to gain initiative. He knew that when the position will come proper, when the time will be ripe, black will make a mistake and white will be able to capitalize on this. So this h5 move is one of the best sacrifices that I have seen, because normally we sacrifice to gain initiative, but here the h5 move just improves the position of the white spaces and gives him space to maneuver. This is one of you can say that even though this is a move which lasts for 27 moves, this is one of the best positional games that I've ever seen. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you soon.